Thank you. Thank you. My name is Sami Cheriot, and already introduced to you and to us, the principal, Keroka Technical Training Institute, and a trained teacher by way of profession or by career. And I would want first to appreciate that I was invited for this kind of event. I feel really honored. And I would still want to, having listened to the objective of this event, I wish to register my utmost appreciation and laud the brains behind this kind of event. It is a very, very instrumental platform in shaping the way things are done or individuals make decisions. So really, it is very critical, and for the company or for the institution or for the organization or for the institute, I want to commend them and wish you well as you proceed. My presentation, yes, it is about the career or how we land into the careers that we have and being able to examine what value that we make of it. And I have requested to share the screen. I don't know if the screen is shared and we have an item on it. And so maybe as we wait for that item to, so that we have something that is running on the screen, I would still want to maybe mention a matter or an item or two relating to individual decisions in life that critical of every event that we have is our capacity to have a positive attitude. Positive attitude at the end of is the baseline of all our endeavors in life. A negative attitude, definitely, many times by other scholars, they have said this is like having a very beautiful or yes, beautiful or gorgeous vehicle or car that has no tires, and therefore it cannot make any mobility. So really, I urge all of us that as we pursue every undertaking in our lives, it is critical that we examine how our attitude plays into the feedback that we get ultimately. Well, the other part of it is being able to network, particularly with the relevant experts in the fields that we want to relate. We have teachers, we have experts in different fields. Thank you. I'm able to capture that. There is something on the screen, and I don't know if it is visible. Someone to confirm to me the visibility of it.
Very good.
Yes, it's visible.
Thank you. So we are talking about this Students Career Talk 2021. It's an organization, planning, conception of it. It is quite amazing. So I would want to possibly give an overview of something on career, and later on at the tail end of it, mention something about making the right choices of our careers while at school. Next slide, please.
Sammy, maybe you could just go to slideshow and make it cover the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's better.
Mm.
Thank you. So the topic is about preparing for career while in school. But as I've mentioned, that I shall be also just giving a background part of it, so that ultimately, before we narrow down to the specifics of school, we'll have also gone and addressed ourselves to a wider perspective of the same. Thank you. Next. So how do we really choose a career? Or how to most of us having landed in some careers? I want to say the beginning of a career, sometimes consciously or unconsciously, begin from the way we relate, one, with our parents, we relate with our siblings, our neighbors, our teachers. So those are the inceptions of or exposure or introduction to a wide range of the careers that we have that exist, however limiting it may be, owing to the environment that we grow up in. So yes, next. So if you check on these a number of items, it says know your values. Values in terms of what is it that you so cherish. The other one says you don't let your beliefs limit you. We have many belief systems that are quite inhibitive. But if we are set for a very impactful career, then we should be able to break, the borders of our limitations. Next item. Then we have a part that says concentrate on your strengths. So it's about knowing what are our strengths, and in essence, all of us, as we are created, we can never be experts across all the disciplines. So there's an inclination on how we relate or how we adopt to situations. There are those of us who are arts oriented. There are those of us who are science or maths or statistics. We are differently in our way of creation. And therefore, it's about knowing how all these issues come on board and therefore inform the kind of choices that we make. Yes? There's a component that talks about the passion, that we have passion and we have money. Sometimes the idea of going for money may override the passion that we have. But in essence, the call is that the passion should take precedence. We may have careers that have a lot of funds in terms of money making. But if our passion is not in it, then there is a challenge. And therefore we're saying, look, there should be passion in every part that we do, everything that we do. If you have the passion, the zeal, the delight in doing it, that is quite amazing. Thank you. Yes, move on. Thanks. So the factors that affect career choices that we do, we have quite a number of things. I've talked about the interest. What is it that interests you? Let me give an example in this case, that there are those of us possibly who do not really like the sight of blood. And here is a position where we want to choose a career that has situations in which possibly you'd want to be a doctor, or it involves coming across human blood in most of the cases. And if the sight is so ghastly to you, then you need to realign your interest to that which is also of your interest. Then we have skills. Skills, of course, are honed over time. We develop them, we sharpen them. And it makes a lot of value to be able to pick on areas in which we have an interest, and at the same time we feel that we can easily acquire the skills that relates to that specific field. We've talked about the family traditions, and I talked earlier that the baseline sometimes, or the introduction part of our careers, are the family positions, because what your dad, what your mom does, at the end of the day, in one way or another, brings an introductory part of it into your career. Experiences, yes. Experiences are about what is it that we have known about the various careers that we have across. When we talk of lawyers, we talk about entrepreneurs. When we talk about teachers, when we talk about all engineers, what are some of the experiences that we have about these careers on board? Next slide, please. Yes, yes, yes. Personality. We've talked about personality, that our careers have a way in which personality is critical in the way we operate and we conduct our business. Also, certain careers, or most across the board, will bring a component in which you need to relate with the people, your workmates. You do not operate in isolation. And therefore, you need to think of also developing and acquiring skills that are people related. And ultimately, on part of it, we have life goals. The idea is at the root of your career, what are your goals in life? One of the scholars that I was reading some times back said that there are 2 days which are very critical in anyone's life. 2 days. And the 2 days are that the first day is the one that you are born. That the day you are born is so critical in your life and it is important. The next one, and the second day that is so important in our lives, as this author says, is the day we discovered the purpose for our birth. What is it that we were born to do? Or the reason for our existence. So those are some of the items that play into our life goals. And some of the life goals, sometimes we want to have good health. Yes, definitely it is important. Over health, we also need to have wealth. It is important to have that. We also have what we call a sense of belonging, of family. Yes, it is important. Career, yes. So those are some of the life goals that we cherish. And therefore, as we pick on a career, we would want to pick a career that promotes on some of these goals that we think of. Thank you. Next item. As we come to look at this topic relatively towards the end, how then do we make the right choices as relating to our career? Please ensure that you choose from that which you love to do. That is very important. Choose a career from the list of the items that you really love to really do. And the other part says, and these are about critical cycles, 3 of them, that you utilize your talent. It is about utilizing your strength, utilizing your capacity to do things differently. So it's about being able to know your strength and your talents. And the last one is about that, look, what is it that ultimately will be able to generate revenue? So all these items are tied up. It is not just one-off. It is not about your interest. if I'm to expound further on this component of being able to generate revenue, it is about examining about careers that will be in existence and in demand in the community, in the society, in the world. I want to give just possibly an example that in a short while, possibly in the next 20 years or thereabout, most of our businesses will be conducted by sorry, someone to protect me from such distractions. Thank you. So I was giving the picture that in the next possibly 10 years or thereabout, we shall be having a lot of robots being able to undertake some of the duties that are currently being worked on by human beings. And therefore, we should be able to say, okay, well, if that is the direction the world is heading, then what is it that we, as a career that is inclined to the demands of the society as far as careers are concerned? So these three cycles indicate to us on the pillars of being able to establish a lasting career or a career that is the right choice. Next slide. What are some of the important points to note on this as we wrap up? We have acknowledged the following, that a career is a long-time choice that we make, long time, and therefore it impacts for a long period. If we make the wrong choice, then we have a lot of repercussions and consequences that can as well last long time. The other bit is that that this has a way in which it impacts on your income or generating wealth for you. So it is critical to ensure that we make the choice in light of that which will be able to generate some wealth. And ultimately, where you spend most of your time. This relates to every day you wake up, you're headed to the position or the workplace. And therefore, our workplaces are a reflection of the career choices that we make in life. We should be able to make choices that will really impact positively. And every day that we wake up to face our workplace, those are the ones that we made the right choices, and therefore it's very important and quite enriching. Yes, next. So within the environment of school, what is the situation that we think of? And in this position, we are kind of appealing that, look, stay up to date as a young scholar, as a young learner, stay up to date. What does this mean? Currently, we have a lot of technology because of internet and a few other things. We are able to access a lot of information. So be able to research what is it that is critical in career choices, which are some of the choices, careers that are critical in the next 5 years or thereabout. So ensure that you are kept abreast of the latest undertakings within the confines of the disciplines. The other circle or critical part of it is that we have to focus in the future. We cannot choose a career that is critical in the past. No, it's a focus about making future projection. And when we talk of future projections, we are thinking of in relation to one, the nation, two, international perspectives or global understanding of the work environment. That is very important. The other one is about expand your knowledge. Always be able to know, seek from experts information that relates to decision making. You need not to make a choice before you seek some advice, and from the right people or from the right experts. And the final part is that don't ever procrastinate. Procrastination is a killer of our careers. Being able to postpone and say, for that, I'll be able to work it out later. That one in itself kills your preparation or your readiness to undertake a lasting career. Thank you. We move on to the next. In the path of career actualization, it is never a straight path. Career doesn't have to be straight line. We think many often that it is a linear component of it. People think it is just a straight position. You pick one and move on. But in actual sense, there is a lot of realignment. You take a route and you realize your route has not given you, taken you to the right position, and therefore you realign and reroute yourself so that you are able to ultimately get to the desired destination. Thank you. Move. There's a French philosopher who said that choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Choose a job that you love and therefore you will never have to work a day in your life. What does it mean? That if we love the jobs that we do, we'll always every day feel so comfortable, effortlessly be able to work without having, to really stress ourselves about the same. Yes. Next. Hello. Yes. Thank you for listening to me. We have run through a number of items. I feel we may not have covered in depth the items, but we have given it some fair attention, and therefore maybe during plenary session we can interact more from matters arising or questions that may come on board. But as I wind up, I would mention the picture that get the right advice at the right time from the right experts. That is the message I would want to share with you. Thank you so much, and God bless.
My talk is going to be about fulfilling career, and it's going to be a little bit more focused on giving my journey. And on the other hand, also, it's going to be an aspect of talking about what it means to have a fulfilling career. And on the other hand, what it means to do something that you're passionate about and what that is going to translate to you moving forward in life. And maybe to start with, you'll agree with me that very few students are going to look you in the eye and tell you that they are doing courses that they're passionate about, or tell you that they're doing courses that they like. And I remember at some point in time when I joined campus, there was a question that the first lecturer who came to the lecture room asked everyone, and they asked them, why are you here? And I remember we got all different sorts of answers from the students, ranging from the fact that some were called by job and others they're doing the courses because maybe their parents asked them to. There are also others who are doing the courses because it's something they liked to do, and others were doing so because they found out some different challenges in their communities and they were looking for ways in which they can address or solve those problems in their communities. And so they needed to take up a course that would give them more knowledge out there. And we also had different answers of people who are doing it because, they had no other choice to do, or maybe because that was the course that their cutoff points would get them to. And it happens a lot. we all don't, I think there's some background noise. Maybe you might want to help me with that.
Yes, I want to request our participant, if you're not talking, please mute your microphone, please.
Thank you. Yes. So there are all sorts of different reasons why we are in the career fields that we find ourselves into. But my message today is, despite all of those things, all of those obstacles that come along the way, all of those reasons why we are doing the courses that we are doing, there's always a way in which we can make that fulfilling for ourselves. Like I mentioned, I studied bachelor's degree in environmental studies and community development at Kenyatta University. And maybe just to begin with why I did this course, why did I choose to do this career? Why did I choose to be in this field? For me, I grew up in the Central Highlands of Kenya. And of course, most of you know that Nyeri County has the highest forest cover. And I think for me, I have always had this connection with nature, this connection with the environment. And along the way, I really wanted to understand more about what was happening to the environment. Along the way, I discovered the late Professor Wangari Maathai, and I remember wanting to find out and understand why she was doing the things that she was doing. And I started to read books and watch some documentaries about the environment, and that is how I discovered the challenges that were happening to the environment, from deforestation, challenges on climate change, challenges of watching kids in different parts of the world being forced to put on masks, not for coronavirus, but because of air pollution. And so these are the challenges that were triggering my mind. And I thought, wow, we need to do something about these things. And I thought, I can be the change. I mean, anyone out there can be the change. But I needed to understand these things more and find out what is it that I can do as a young person to, at least try and solve some of these challenges. And so that's when I discovered that I could make this my career line. I could go and find out more about the environment. I could go and learn more about the global environmental challenges. And I think along the way, I started to even focus on activities that would shape this career. And I remember founding environmental clubs in primary school and also in high school. And then when I got to university, I really also wanted to do this particular course. And I remember making the selections. The first time there was an obstacle because I did my first KCSE back in the year 2012, and I happened to get 58 points. And by that time, the girls were going to campus with 59 points. So I was 1 point off the cutoff points for the public admission. And of course, this is not something I had wanted to do. I wanted to get to campus on public, just go to the private, what do you call it, the public, the joint admission board. And so it was really disappointing for me to get, that 1 point off, but then I had to go back to school, but just resit my KCSE again for one more time. And I remember the second time, it was really about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to, who I wanted to become. So I went back, and when I resat the exam, I got 66 points at the end of the day. And it was just a span of a few months. And I managed to now apply for the course that I wanted to do, and that was environmental studies. And I got picked in the same university I wanted to study in, that's Kenyatta University. And when I got there, something happened in my first week in campus. I started to look out for groups or looking out for clubs around campus that would help me connect more to the environment beyond what I was studying in class. And so I remember in my first week, I was the first year to join Kenyatta University Environmental Club. And the reason why I was joining this club was I needed to get more exposure beyond what I was being taught in class. And I think when I'm talking about this, I would like everyone else out there to connect with what you're doing right now. What else are you connecting with? What else is giving you exposure beyond what you get in class? Are you in initiatives? Are you doing projects outside? Are you joining other young people who are trying to make a difference in your career line. So I would like you to connect in your path. I don't want you to connect with me as an environmentalist, because I know we are not all environmentalists, but I'm sharing this so that you can connect with me in your line. So I wanted to get more exposure beyond the theory bit of it, beyond being taught in class about all these challenges. I wanted to know, what can I practically do even when I'm still in class? Which reminds you that you don't have to wait until you finish school for you to start being a problem solver. You don't have to wait for yourself to graduate for you to start doing things. You know, it has to start when you're still a student. So I joined this club and I started to become so active. And I remember even getting a leadership position still in first year as a fresher. And it was really something that also gave me more exposure to take up leadership in the same line on conservation. And along the way, I started to also do different projects outside of school, going to train kids about the environment, because like I mentioned, my drive was the fact that when I was still a young girl, I would feel irritated about different things that people are doing to the environment. And so I figured maybe the reason why I was feeling these different things and why they were irritating me, you know, seeing people throwing trash out of car windows, getting to a place and finding people cutting down trees, maybe it's because I got to understand these things when I was still young. So I decided, what can I do to create more people who have the same consciousness of the environment when they are young? And that is why I started this initiative to try and, you know, educate more young people and children in schools to have the same love for nature and to have that consciousness for the environment when they're still young. So moving on, when I got to my second year, after doing all of these activities, I happened to secure a scholarship for myself through all those activities that I was doing. And it was actually a scholarship award. That's the Wangari Maathai Scholarship Award. And up to now, I happen to be the fourth recipient of this award. And this award was to recognize young women who are committed and taking leadership on environmental conservation matters. And it's something I had never probably thought that I would ever get, but it happens. And I'm in my second year and I get this award that helps me clear my school fees up to for the year. And also it comes with a seed funding to help me conduct more environmental initiatives outside of campus. And so the next thing I do is try to get other young people to join me, volunteer, and, you know, we go together with them to different schools to train more children, to, you know, to plant more trees, to teach more people about how they can manage their waste. And you realize it was something that it was really interesting. And when I get back to class, these are the same things that I'm learning, expanding my knowledge, expanding my exposure out there. And at some point, I also began to, you know, get a lot of invitations to go speak in places, forums, nationally, internationally, just to go and share these details about how you link your passion, your career, and how you're making a difference. So my thought today is, how can we, you know, make sure that our careers are fulfilling? I think the first bit is to see ourselves as problem solvers. So what is this that you want to address out there? Because I think if you don't focus on a problem or something that you want to address out there, let's say there's shortage of doctors, shortage of nurses, shortage of people who are into, you know, designing or IT, shortage of people who are into music, all of these things. I mean, it can be any problem that you find out in your community, in your village, in the country, and you think, wow, I can be the person to make this difference. And then use your career, everything that you learn, to now, you know, build up your skills to become that problem solver that you want to become. Because I think a lot of us right now, you've noticed that young people are mostly defined a lot in terms of the challenges that they face. You know, we start saying young people have no jobs, which is true. A lot of young people still remain unemployed. We talk a lot about young people not having the exposure, but I'd like us to see the other bit of young people as people who solve problems, young people as people who have got all these skills, the ideas, and who have got the energy to step up and be the change. So, and I would like us to start seeing ourselves in terms of problem solvers and not as people who have challenges, because at the end of the day, we can overcome all these challenges and begin to solve problems in our communities. And so I would say being able to get that exposure outside of your career is one of the things that I would say really has shaped me and shaped other people out there. And I mean, you don't stop at what is being taught to you in the classroom. You try and see how you can join different things. I volunteered a lot when I was in campus. I joined a lot of initiatives that were focusing on the environment, on climate change, still in my line, because that is where I wanted to get the exposure. That was my interest. I was not interested maybe in any other career. That was my area of interest. And so anything that I volunteered in and any group that I joined or initiative was for me to get more exposure, because it's not everything that you need to shape you to who you are today that you will get in the classroom. Some of these things you have to go out there and get them yourself. You have to go out there and feed yourself into these spaces. So we are saying that there are very few opportunities, but people are fighting to get into these opportunities. You are trying to see, like, people are trying to fight to get there in terms of just making sure that they have a better ground, to stand. Because for instance, if you have more experience, and sometimes I think you will see all of these things when you're applying for jobs. They say you need, I don't know, 10 years experience to be fit for this job, and you just graduated. And so you ask yourself, how am I going to have, how do you expect me to have 10 years of experience when I just completed my school? So I think for me, experience will not work if it starts after you're done with your school. It will not help if it starts after you graduate. I think it will help if you combine what you're getting in your career line together with what you're doing when you're still a student. And those are some of the things that really helped me. And another highlight I remember throughout the same career and throughout being able to go out there and network, I also did a lot of networking when I was in campus. I think since my second year, I would go to these national events, and even some of them uninvited, and just go find out what they're doing, learn from their exhibition centers, because when you get to these national events, a lot of times there are so many organizations that are doing exhibitions, and you get into those tents, talk to them and find out what they're doing. And a lot of them right now have got all departments. Even if it's an environmental organization, they have got an IT department, they have got a science department, they have got a communications department, they have all of these things together, and you'll find them, I think, in every organization. So get into those tents and find out what are they doing. How can I, maybe, can I volunteer? Can I intern with you? Can I do my attachment with you? What is it that I can contribute to? Which also reminds me how I got to get my first attachment while I was in Badia. I got my attachment at a place called Giraffe Center. I don't know if you all know it. So some of you, if I mentioned Giraffe Center, you probably think a lot about the tourism, hospitality, and all that. But there's much more into that organization, because my role was to do conservation education for children, and at the same time do conservation education for the tourists. So it's all about trying to figure yourself in an organization, try to figure yourself in an institution. What can I do to help this institution in my career path? And then tell them, well, this is what I can offer, this is what I bring on board. And they took me up, and it was a very great 3 months experience on that internship. And along the way, I also got to network with more and more people who are also calling me for different opportunities. So the other key thing that I'm trying to insist on now is on networking. I think this is another thing that will help you have a fulfilling career at the end of the day. Because what networking means is, as much as there's a lot of talk about tarmacking after campus, yes, it happens a lot. And sometimes I think it also happens because maybe you get out of campus, you're done with your studies, you've graduated, and then you don't know what next to do. You didn't have a project that you had maybe started. You hadn't joined any initiative. You hadn't joined anything that would keep you, maybe even keep you active before you maybe land your first job, or keep you active before you start to have an income generating activity, or rather before you start to get something that can help you earn a living. And a lot of students, I feel there's that confusion. You get to the world and you're done graduating, and the next thing is to start submitting papers. You don't know what you can do to get going. So I think when you start to do all these things that I'm mentioning, that confusion really is not something that you experience, because you're out there. Sometimes you don't even notice that you're done with school, because you're still getting yourself busy with different activities. You had networked with people that you can easily reach out to, drop them an email, call them, visit them in their offices, and already, even as you're visiting these people, there are things that you had been doing. You didn't just wait to finish school and start doing something with your life. You had started to get engaged, you had started to get yourself involved. And because I know there's a lot of time in the university. I remember I used to have, almost two days that were like free. I have a class from 7 to 9 a.m. and that's it for the day, like on a Thursday, and maybe the next class is on Monday. So what you do with all this free time is when you start to discover different things that you can do in your line, because you need this experience, not just to even get people who can employ you, but to even open up your mind to things that you can do. And I think, as I share with you, I have mentioned to you that along the way, I think there's someone who is not on mute and there's some noise. Thank you for unmute okay, thank you. So I think there's a lot of talk about about the different things that people can focus on out there. And there's also a lot of talks about, people being in careers, and then at some point they probably don't understand how they get to help you in life. But I think, for example, for me, I would say that my work relates a lot to most of the things that I took in school, in terms of even the short courses, and in terms of the career itself, in terms of the degree and all that. And I think I would also say that out of all these things that I'm mentioning, I think they also open up your mind, not just to wait to be employed, but they open up your mind to also start to create opportunities for yourself and for other young people to thrive. And I think that is how I ended up founding my organization, that's Green Generation Initiative, when I was still in the university. And I think in fourth year, it's when I started to now involve other young people to also participate, to also get an opportunity for them to get that exposure, to go and train children out there on conservation, to go and train children on climate change. And this organization was, there's that exposure that you get when you get to interact with different people, as I mentioned, in networking, and also that kind of exposure that you get when you start to understand what this field is all about. You start to understand your career line. What is the marketplace like right now? Are people more into joining different organizations? Are people more into founding organizations? Are people more into, it all depends with what it is that interests you most. And then you focus your line on, on building up that which you are focusing on at that point in time. And so I think that would be the next thing about how you can make our careers more fulfilling. And then the next thing, I think you really need to also have someone who is mentoring you. Doesn't have to be someone who maybe frequently talks to you, but you have to have someone who you're looking up to. I think that is another thing that really shaped me. For example, I have read so many books about Professor Wangari Maathai. She's one icon person that I really wanted to meet, but she passed on when I was in Form 3, and I did not, it was my dream to always meet her and have a talk with her, because I was really interested in these things. And I would say she's the person who inspires me up to date. And the fact that I did not meet her did not stop me from wanting to follow in some of her footsteps. And so I began to read books about her. I've read Unbowed, that really is a book I've read almost 7 times, which also explained that you should have that reading culture, get the people's memoirs, and understand what are these things that inspired their career lines, what are these things that inspired them. And just remember, I'm giving examples in my line, but I want you to connect in your own field. Who are these people that you can always look up to and they can inspire you? How did they do their things? What was unique about them? What are things that they did differently to get them to where they got to? And I think this really would help you move ahead. And then it's not easy when you move alone. It's easy when you have someone who is holding your hand. And sometimes it's not easy to get these people. And I would say don't expect someone to come to you and say, hey, I'd like to help you, with your new project. I'd like to help you move ahead in your career line. Sometimes you have to go to these people, talk to them, tell them, this is what I want to do, and I'm stuck here. I need some guidance. I need some help. And sometimes you have to keep following up, because not everyone will possibly even, accept to mentor you along the way. But sometimes you have to keep chasing these people, keep chasing them until they, they're there to listen, and they're there to help you out. And then the other thing, always look out for opportunities in your line. Sometimes I think we wait a lot for opportunities to come to us, but we have to chase these opportunities. I'll tell you, the first time I left the country to go speak in an international forum was it was through an initiative that I applied for online. And I applied it when I was in my 4th year. It was, it's through an organization that's called the Global Landscapes Forum. And this was a training for 2 weeks. That was a training on youth in landscape leadership. So landscapes is all about the forest, the forests, the waterways, anything that you can see around, like those are the landscapes. And so this initiative, it was just announced online that they're going to sponsor 10 students all over the world to go and have that training in Germany. And I made the application, and I remember only 2 of us from Kenya got that opportunity. And I thought, wow, what if I did not apply for this opportunity? What if I did not even search online to see what opportunities exist that I can apply as a student? I did not know anyone. Let no one lie to you that for you to apply for an opportunity and get selected, you need to know anyone. I did not know anyone. And it's not the first one. There have others followed after that one particular opportunity. So it's not that you don't need to go with that mentality that I'll not apply for this because I don't know anyone in that organization. I did not know anyone. I just applied, got selected. We were talking on email, and I knew all these people when I got to that place now for that forum. And what this also teaches you is that you have to go out there and look out for opportunities. Even when you're still in school, there are so many opportunities out there for undergraduate students, for students even in high school, opportunities that are open, and some of them are fully sponsored. Like the one I've mentioned, it was fully sponsored, and you just go and speak. They give you a platform, an international platform, to go and speak about your project, go and speak about what you're doing as a student. And of course, what this happens next is that it opens you up. People discover you, people from different organizations, people who are inspired by you, they discover you. And the next thing that happens is that all of these other opportunities begin to flow. Because like now where I stand, I stopped applying for those opportunities. I applied for quite a number of them. I think I got about 3 of them that now opened up doors for people to they're just sending the invitations, and they want to support the initiative. They want you to go and speak in another country. They want you to go and speak in another county, and all that happens. So I think you have to make the first step as a young person before, you don't just wait for these opportunities to come. They might never come, but if you take the first step to, go look out for them, search out there, then they will come. And people who have also gotten scholarships to go study even for their masters, to further their studies, to do their degrees, they'll tell you, you don't just wait, you go online. Sometimes it's not easy. You have to go, and it's really challenging. Go online, search for things that you qualify, apply for them. Some of these application forms are things that will just make you want not to apply, because they're this huge, and they ask you for, I don't know, 3,000 words. But that's exactly the point. They're trying to reduce the number of people that are going to apply. So the application process should never be something that puts you off. I know maybe a lot of us don't want to write much or type much, but that exactly is where the struggle is. You have to go through that struggle for you to begin even enjoying your career line at some point. You have to go through the process. There's no shortcut. Like, I think we have to go through the process at the end of the day. And then it's going to get to a point where you will not have to struggle anymore. And then the other thing, you don't have to go start from scratch if you're not able to start from scratch. You can join people who are already doing it. And then together you can be able to have, to have that force. You don't have to start from scratch. If you don't know what you want to do, if you don't have something that you can begin with, or if you're having challenges starting, you don't have to start from scratch. You can look out for people who are doing it and then join hands and and through that you're also going to get that exposure. But don't run the risk by waiting to finish school for you to start doing something out there. Start when you're still in campus, and it's going to be much more easier for you than you expect. I think I'm saying this confidently because I know it was much easier for me out there. I didn't have to probably, and I'll tell you, for example, in the job that I'm in, I didn't have to, look out much or struggle through the application or anything. It was through a network that became a mentor. Someone who you networked with became your mentor, and at the end of the day, they helped you get a job. So it's all about going out for it. Just step out there, have that courage, and since you're already in your career, and it doesn't matter how you got yourself there, you have to make sure that at the end of the day it's going to be fulfilling for you, because you don't want to waste, for example, 4 years in campus and then say, well, maybe you were studying. Sometimes I really feel sad when someone tells you that I was doing this because my parents asked me to, and then you're done with your 4 years and maybe there's nothing much you can do with your course. So it's really painful to waste a whole 4 years. So it's good when you study through and try and get something to do in between, even if it's different from what you're studying, but something that will make your 4 years feel, at least I did not waste my 4 years. At least I did something that is helping me right now. At least I met a few people and networked with them, and they gave me my first internship. I networked with them and I was able to volunteer in the organization, and I networked with them and they gave me ideas of something to start. But please never run the risk of waiting until you're done with school for you to start doing something. I always think of young people as problem solvers, not as people who have challenges. And if we start to see yourself as a problem solver, there are so many problems in our country, in our communities, everywhere there are challenges, and everyone, nobody wants to step up and be the change. And that's the problem. And that is why we are here as young people to step up and be the change. And you don't have to think so much, maybe what can I do in my line of career. There are people who are studying courses maybe in the university, and they are doing projects even outside of their courses. So it doesn't really have to be, it doesn't, what you do is you try to connect what you're doing out there to what you're studying. And of course, like I mentioned, there's always a connection. Sometimes I wondered, sometimes I was told, when we were doing the courses in environment, and someone mentioned, do you know that as an environmentalist, you can work in Safaricom? And I was wondering, what does an environmentalist has to do with Safaricom? And then I discovered along the way through the exposure that they have a whole department of sustainability, a whole department that focuses on all these things. So if you do your research, every organization, even hospitals, they have all expertise. So there's nowhere that you can't take your expertise in. Right now, the world is in a way that we are trying to live sustainably. There's a lot of things on sustainability, trying to balance the environment, the social, and also the economic bit of it. So you'll find all of these departments. In a way, there is a way in which your career is going to connect to most of the organizations out there. And it's just a matter of reading a lot, doing a lot of research, check out for opportunities, check out for people who can mentor you, do a lot of networking. Don't wait to finish school. Step out there and make sure that you're also doing something yourself. And I think with that, it's going to be much easier for you. And I think also, if there's anyone who is watching right now and will need any form of guidance in terms of my field, I've mentioned to you a lot about my field, but I wanted you to connect with your own. But if there's anyone who'd like to connect with me also in terms of environmental conservation, sustainability, community development, all of those things, I think would be great we connect. And I wouldn't mind sharing a few more tips. And I think also you can check out my website. I have a website that's lizmazingira.com, or you could just, I also have a Wikipedia page where you can see more about my work. It's just write Elizabeth Wathuti online and you'll be able to read much more. And even some of these opportunities that I'm sharing, I know some of them occur on annual basis, and you can be able to see if you fit in any of them. But in the meantime, and one last thing that I did not mention before I finish, another thing that has really given me exposure is being able to share my work out there with people. Because I know there are a lot of young people who are doing great things in their communities, and they're doing it in campus. I know there's a lot of groups as well in campus that focus on making a difference, even by linking what they're doing in their classes and what they're and the things that they want to make a difference in society. but we keep these things to ourselves. We don't, we don't let people discover what we are doing. I think there is power in sharing your story. There's power in telling the world what you're doing. There is power in telling someone what you're doing out there. There's power in sharing all of those activities. Because like for me, I do a lot of advocacy online. If you check my online pages, you'll see it's always about the environment. Twitter, everywhere, I share all of these things. And a lot of these people reach out to me through social media. Funny enough, it's not like I met anyone. For example, if there's someone who, there's someone who probably wants me to speak in a session, and we probably not met, but they go online and they see probably photos of a session where we are doing we are doing education forums in schools, or sessions where we are maybe doing a forestation program, and they're interested, you could come speak in this forum. And allow me to give you a very good example of why I'm insisting on communication. I don't know if any of you has got a page on LinkedIn, but you need to create one for yourself and make it very relevant to what you're doing. I like to say, don't mix it up with things that are not going to help you. Someone might want to come and find out more about you online. Maybe you apply for an opportunity and they want to search your name and see what your name is all about. And they might find some funny things and they're like, wow, I don't think we want this kind of person in our organization. So there's power in what you write online. And I'll give you an example of an opportunity that I happen to have been invited by one of the UN bodies that deals with climate change at some point. It's called the UNFCCC. For those who know about climate change issues and environment, UNFCCC, that's the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And it was on a forum for expertise in South Korea. And what at some point I had to get that letter to people, send out to people to confirm if the letter is genuine, because I didn't know I didn't know anyone, like I had no connection, I had never interacted with them. So you're left wondering, why did these people invite me for this forum? So I waited until I got there, and then I asked one of them, I was still asking them, hey, I'm happy to be here, but can you please let me know why I'm here? Like, how am I here? Did anyone share my number or anything? And then they told me there's a lady who saw you on LinkedIn, and when we were doing the shortlist of who to invite, she wrote your name. And it so happened that I didn't even know the lady, but she had been following my work on LinkedIn, and she happened to propose me as a speaker. So it just shows you the power that is there online as well, the power in sharing your work with people, the power in writing what exactly. Don't ever be ashamed of your story. However small, you don't need to be doing huge things. And you remember, I always like quoting Prof. She always say that it's the little things that we citizens do that make a difference. Nobody's doing something tiny. All of us can make a difference. And it doesn't matter how small you start. You can start. I started with one tree, and right now I've done over 30,000 tree seedlings. And you never know the power that is in you to make a difference. It just needs for you to step up. Use whatever you have. Don't wait to say that I don't have finances to start something. I didn't have anything when I started. I just remember going to a school and buying, I think, 5 tree seedlings just to educate the kids, because I didn't have finances to buy more. I would have wished to buy each for them. But right now the project is in a level where every child can get a tree seedling each to plant in their school compound. And I think that to me is what means don't ever underestimate yourself. You can make a difference in whatever position you're in, whichever career that you're doing, you can always make a difference. There's no field that is irrelevant. You all need all these skills. You need your expertise. Your skills are needed to make a difference in this world that, we are facing so many challenges. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now. Maybe we would have wished to meet physically, but we cannot. We have to see each other on the screens. And we need all of us to realize that we can we can make solutions out of all this. And I think it's also interesting that, and as I finish now, I'm done. As I finish, I'd like to maybe also remind you to look out for young people who are doing different things out there, and let them inspire you. Let their stories inspire you to also start to do something. You can read stories. There's a lot of coverage on people who, even during the COVID pandemic, I saw young people distributing revision materials to students. I saw a lot of things that were happening that were really inspiring. So look out for all these things, and they will help you, they will open you up, they will give you an exposure, and you'll start to think, wow, I think I can also do something, because nothing is too small and nobody is too small to make a difference, or no one should ever feel less of themselves, we can all do something, and we can start from somewhere. It all starts from somewhere, and then from there you can get moving. I think allow me to stop there so that I don't talk much. And if there is any question from the audience, I'm happy to respond to you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. We wait to see if there is comments. I know that there have been people actually asking some questions. And I think one of the question was, how do I get an internship and how do I survive from an internship which is not being paid? So a lot of people, expect an internship to be paid. So that was one of the questions that I noted, and I think Jane did well on actually responding to this. Maybe Elizabeth, maybe you can respond to that, because you mentioned that you did volunteer, and a lot of our students are looking to get these paid internship. So how do they survive with this volunteership and which are not being paid?
Thank you so much. So a lot of organizations or initiatives that I joined in campus, I used to spend my own fare, like to go to town for meetings, spend my own fare to go for those initiatives. And sometimes I thought we were just, I was also having friends, of course, in the university, and we could talk, and we are like, no, it's not easy to just apply for the first time and get something that is going to pay you. But then we would look on the positive side of what we stand to get at the end of the day. I'll use my fare, go to town for this session. I'll meet a few more other people that I can network with that can introduce me to my next paying opportunity. But I think at some point we chose not to look at that bit of being paid when I was still a student back then, because now we started doing it. I actually started doing volunteering when I was still in first year. So at some point, you'd look more into the other benefits that you stand to get. The finances is there, of course, you need to survive. You need maybe fare to go to these places. But in an instance where that is not there, it doesn't mean that you just sit back and wait for the time when you'll get an opportunity where you'll be paid. It might delay, it might not get it on time. You might be losing a lot of time that you might have, you might losing all that time that you can use to network, to create more, to even create more opportunities for yourself, or to even start initiatives. Like I mentioned, no one was paying me to start that initiative. I just, just on voluntary basis, I would, travel from Nairobi to Nyeri, and no one is giving me fare, no one is giving me money to buy seedlings, no one was donating seedlings by then to me to go and plant in schools. But it was just a matter of looking at the bigger picture. Why am I doing this? Why am I volunteering? Why am I going to join initiatives? Am I joining to get paid? Am I joining to get all this? Or am I joining so that maybe when I get in my third year, I'll get somewhere to go for attachment? Or when I get into my fourth year, I'll get people who I can write to give me internships or attachments. So I think for me, the first thing is look at the bigger picture. So in the case that you don't have a paying one, it doesn't mean you should not join it. If an opportunity comes, please go for it, as long as it helps you build your skills. And especially as long as you're still a student, just go for it. It's going to be a struggle, but in the meantime, you're going to get to a place where you can get, a different thing that can pay you. For example, in second year, I did my first attachment. I actually did 2 attachments. I didn't remember to mention that. And one of the attachments, I went to Laikipia County. Remember, I come from Nyeri County and I studied in Nairobi County. So the one that I did in Laikipia County was in a household economic empowerment program that was being done by the county government. And I just happened to get this opportunity in line where we were marching. It was on World Environment Day, and I had traveled to Laikipia, like I mentioned. I used to go for these national events. No one had invited me by then, and I would just go this banner when we are marching, and I happened to talk to one of the officials. Actually, it was the governor of that time. I was like, I want to intern with you guys. And they wrote to me when I was not being paid even a single coin. So I used to live at my aunt's place. But the kind of exposure I got at the end of those 3 months is something that I will never forget up to date.
Thank you very much, Simon, with Esther for organizing this. And just first of all, to just comment, Elizabeth, I have loved her speech. I've loved listening to whatever she was saying because it was the complete opposite of what I was when I was growing up. The complete opposite. Why? And that should start my discussion for today. Just speaking from now, high school all the way to university, looking for a job and all that. So my first point will go to those of us who are in high school, and maybe I should first introduce myself in a better way. So my name is Jane. I'm in HR, but I studied biochemistry in the university. Then later within the way I changed to something different. We'll talk about that as we continue talking. So talking about high school. So in high school, I always wanted to be a lawyer. But something that I didn't do, I didn't take the time to just focus and understand. If you want to be a lawyer, what subject combination do you need? What universities are teaching this particular law? And what qualifications do you need to have that? So I would focus, I was very good in sciences, very poor in languages and other things like that. So I focused on what I was good at, even though I wanted to be something different. And I'm very sure, had I focused on putting a lot of effort in the languages, I would still have passed because right now when I look back, I don't see what was so hard about failing in English, getting a C plus, B minus. I don't see. Even the Swahili, I don't see. Like there was nothing. If you read those set books, you can only pass. So I focused on sciences, but I wanted to be a lawyer. Funny enough, even my dad used to call me Wakiri. That was my pet home at home. He would come home when he were taken one to and he'd be like, Akwapi Wakiri, you know? So I had grown up knowing that that's what I want to be. But I didn't take the time to now focus and understand, if you want to be ABCD, what do you be? So what am I saying today? If you're in high school and you're here and you have plans to be anything that you want to be, don't just have a dream like it's going to just happen. You need to come back to the ground and look at the reality. If I want to be this, what exactly is the path? Start with the end in mind. Don't have a wish and stick with that wish without having to think, how do I make this wish come true? And that is what I miss. And that's what I see very many people missing when I discuss careers with people. Their disappointments, their ABCD will always be like, I need to do. And just last year, we were discussing my cousin wanted to be a computer something, computer science or something like that. Only to realize she got an A in high school, but she didn't do physics. Her next option would have been medicine or nursing. Again, looking, she didn't do biology. So there's no way she was going to go to the computer science or to go to any of the medical courses because she only ran with a wish without looking like, if I have to attain this particular wish, what do I need? So planning with facts is very important as you plan your career. At any one time, if you want to be an MD, if you're already working and you have joined us today, maybe you're an assistant, you're an officer and you want to be an MD, you cannot keep saying you want to be a CEO. You have to go further and understand what does it take to be a CEO and plan. If I have to be a CEO in the next 5 years, what do I need to do today, tomorrow? Like that, like that, like that, so that you see your end of the 5 years. So if you're in high school and you want to be whatever that you want to be, now start with that end in mind. Understand, for me to join University of Nairobi in 2023, in 2022 to do law, to do engineering, to do ABCD, what must I do now for that wish to come true? So don't sit and just keep wishing that I want to be an engineer. That question that they asked us in class 1 of what you want to be. It is one thing to know what you want to be. It's another thing now to put the effort of knowing that for me to be this, I have to do the following. So very, very, very important. Always actualize your plan by facts. Know what you're targeting, because like I said, I was putting efforts in the wrong direction. I was there getting A's in physics, mathematics, chemistry. I didn't know that would just end me up in the university doing sciences. And that's not what I wanted to spend my life doing. So very important to note that. Then 2, sometimes you might realize that if you plan to pursue now what we call the normal careers of you finishing high school, going to college, there's no opportunity for you to actually pass in some subjects and fail in others. If you look at the university clusters and the mistake that we make, the first time that most of us see those university clusters are the day now we are choosing what to be called by, now this is called COOPs, what we want them to select us for. You cannot say you want to go to Nairobi and you don't know which road goes to Nairobi. So if you're in high school, or if you have a kid in high school, or you have a relative in high school, and you want them to make that decision, start by looking at those selections today. Go to the cluster, to the Nairobi University, whatever intake board, go to HELP, they have them, go to COOPs and see, for me to be engineer, these are the combination. And you'd also realize that for you to join university, there's a minimum that you must pass in almost all the subjects. Because let's say maybe you don't like English. If you get a D, it pulls down everything, and there's a minimum grade for entry. So there's no option of saying that I'm strong in sciences, miss spend ABCD, it will work against you. You can put effort in what you're good in, but don't neglect what you feel like you're weak in, because that weak area will actually bring you down. They actually say you are as strong as your weakest link. So you'll be meeting all those A's in the 3 subjects that you like, but they also want a minimum grade for you to be able to even join that particular university. They'll make you bridge when you didn't have to bridge. And I'm telling you for sure, if you can pass in one subject, even the others you can. Just try to put some effort, get a coach, get another student there to actually show you how to maneuver that, and you'll improve. Instead of getting that D, you'll get a D plus. Instead of getting that D plus, because you put some extra effort, you'll get some. And you know why? Because no, that is effort that's actually meditated. You know, for me to do what I want, I must pass in this. And that now shifts your mindset. It's different from when we ignore a subject completely because we are saying, I am not good in this, and in any case, I don't plan to pursue it. So very, very important to always start with the end in mind. Don't be shooting in the dark. Don't shoot in the dark. So that is one of them. 2, you have finished high school and you have, nowadays don't have a very long gap here, but most of the time we'll have a gap here. Even during school holidays, how do we spend our time? I know Lisa spent a lot of time talking about mentor volunteership and internship, but even in high school, and if you look at these international schools, they actually don't spend their holidays at home watching TV and are doing other funny things. I've been able to see kids coming from now, those group of schools, coming to intern, and in high school, just coming to see how does the workplace look like. You have your aunts, you have your uncles, you have your dad, your parents who work ABCD. Have you even asked your parents how a day looks like for them at work, at the workplace? Or you're just saying, I want to be an engineer like my dad, but you don't even have a clue about how his days is at work, actually. So very important when I'm saying don't shoot in the dark, for you to just take time and understand, I want to be an engineer. How do the engineers spend their day? I want to be ABCD. What is pushing me to do ABCD? And then we talked about passion. Not all passions pay. There are some passions that may not pay you. So you have to think very creatively as you pursue the passion that you're saying you pursue and ignoring other things, because again, like Jack Ma said, there are things that you must get in line by the time you're turning that. And that time really goes very fast. By the time, from the time that you're 18 to 30, you think it is very far right now, I know. You think people who are 30 years old could be very old, but that time just goes like this. Those years for you. So very understand who are not pursuing passion, degrees, careers. Because sometimes you don't know how long that passion might turn out to be, and for whatever that it is, they want to be ABCD. You have to see it through, and sometimes you have to actually do both passes. You again, you 18 again, it just passes. So very important to actually take care of that particular time. And 2, you have joined campus. When you join university, there are some people like in my class that time that like I said, I did biochemistry. You join the university and we'll keep asking you from that year, second year, what do you want to be? And you still don't know. Because maybe for whatever reason, you have been admitted to do a general course. And like I keep saying, a degree is very important, regardless of whatever type of degree. It doesn't matter what type of degree it is, because that degree will help you in future. And sometimes when you go to university, it gives a different form of exposure to the things that you're gonna be compared to if you didn't go at all at all. So you have gone to university, and maybe for whatever reason, you have gone to do a general degree. Maybe you're doing BA, maybe you're doing BSc, general, a very general course. Again, you have to keep thinking with the end in mind. I'm doing BA Bachelor's Economics. Can this Bachelor Economics get me a job on its own? Are you going to be wasting all your money, all your help, all your time going to study a general course that you cannot even answer what you're going to be when you finish now in 4 years? So a very important question. So if you're doing that, you have to be going online and searching jobs with your background. Like as we are doing economics, jobs requiring economics, and see what comes up. If there are any other skillings that you must complement that, please choose that. Start planning that now, and sometimes schools, we think they're expensive, but most of them, they always have payment plans. Like, do you need to do a CPA? Do you need to do a different course for you to combine with that? Or what exactly do you need to do? So especially if you're doing a general course, you have to start thinking and thinking now. It's very good that you're in the university, very good. But when you finish that for the year, how will that span out? I'll talk again about spending time in campus apart from just studying and all that. There are those of us who all we do with our time is go to class or even miss classes, go dunda, come back to the house, we close schools, we go home, we spend all our time in Netflix, watching movies, maybe watching TV, chat, Facebook and all that. And that's all you do for spending your time. And of course, asking for money and things like that. That will come to bite you. It's exactly what Liz was talking about. How are you spending your free time? Are you investing in yourself or are you just wasting time? Remember, it's a very competitive world. The moment you finish that form 4, even for a graduate trainee, even when you're just taking someone fresh from school, as in like maybe you don't need experience, it will still be competitive. And we'll be looking for things like the differentiator, the game changer will be someone who actually went for volunteership. Because when you volunteer, you learn something. You learn how to lead people away from your parents. You learn how to take maybe feedback that nobody gives you at home. You learn how to relate. You learn how to speak at work. There are things that come with it. And talking about volunteers and internship, this culture of me at all the time, what is in it for me? What is in it for me at the time? And always thinking about the money, what Liz was trying to respond to, is actually eating people up. It is eating us up. It is not always about what you make in an investment. Sometimes they even come in to learn. You know nothing. During internship, during those volunteers, you are so young, you're actually bringing nothing. I give you something to print, you still make a mistake, waste 4 5 papers. I have to come show you again. So you're actually learning skills that you cannot even learn anywhere else. And we must constantly look for opportunities to build our skills at the workplace. What you do in school and what happens at work are two different things. And just to quote Liz, she kept saying she was complementing what was happening in class with what was happening by her looking for things to do outside her classwork. Sometimes even the things that you do in class, we never see them at work. The workplace is a different ball game, and you must prepare yourself for that particular ABCD. Those who are skilled never tarmac. People will pick you even for that assistant level. And talking about that, sometimes also when in campus and even post-campus, people delegate now that such of opportunities. I liked it because she was saying the way she was aggressive, looking on her own. My story is different, like I said. I had given that to my father. It was always me. I go sit home like I'm a baby and I wait for my dad to keep telling me, have you taken your CV to so and so? Tomorrow, go and see so and so. And nothing came out of all those appointments that my father got for me. Until I woke up in that day and I realized, how did Aisha kama sina internship? And I was like, imagine now I have to use my other friends who I've met. I had met a few friends, few of them. If you're girls, those friends will try to take advantage of you. You have to say no because nothing will even come out of that, even if you said yes. So it's about knowing how to navigate your relationship without having to be exploited or be abused. But guess what? The internship I got out of my own efforts. All the place that my father had sent me, I would go. Maybe I would not prepare because I would assume that you na Joanna, so nimetuma tu. I would just go. Actually, I keep saying in one of them, when I remember how I was dressed, I laugh. Like, I can't believe I actually showed up in someone's office dressed the way I was dressed, because I didn't take it seriously just because my father is just giving me. Which is a syndrome we are seeing with very many people, very many millennials this particular time. You go to, you are sent somewhere by your parents or by whoever to go for an internship, to go for an interview for an internship, and you don't prepare. You just come and sit. We ask you basics even about your school. You don't know things to do that you should have known, and you don't know. Why? Because you're assuming life is about, it is about being given things in a silver plate and all that. Far from it. There are things you must do for yourself. So even when your father gets you that opportunity to actually go for an internship or an interview for an internship, you have to sit and prepare. So as early as now, if you're already in high school, as early as now, start preparing your career tools. Have your CV in a very good way, not the traditional of putting these that do not matter. You cannot have a CV that just talking about where you went to primary school, where you went to high school, where you went to university, your year of birth, and that you are single and you are a Christian or you are a religion. That is not a CV. If you're not having those volunteers, if you're not having those internships, then how are you sending out? A CV should talk about your experience and things like that. And I loved what Liz was saying because she was actually just talking what I had in mind. If you don't build your experience but in campus, too bad for you. Why would I call you? Because if your CV is just showing your date of birth, your marital status, your PO box, your email, where you went to school, everybody will have that. It's about knowing from way before that you have to stand out. You have to do things that make you stand out. And how I got my first internship is because I had an internship with AMREF, And that internship was actually in my village. It was about social behavior, but that's not what they're calling it. Their program was to ensure that youth are involved in other programs that keep them away from social things that would actually damage their life. And all we're doing is planting sukuma wikis, watering them, and selling to the market. Just wasting, actually spending time there. I can't tell you I learned anything. But just because I had that example of after my high school, I interned with ABCD and were able to do economic empowerment programs, of course, the language that you use, I actually got that internship, and it was a paying internship that was paying very well. So in your CV, if you don't start building your CV right from actually finishing high school all through, then too bad for you. If there's anything that you have to take away from this conversation today, that is one of the things that you have to take even campus. Start building your experience today. And the good thing, we are living in an era of information. You can even go to Google and you start doing things online for yourself, creating your own brand, writing articles about the things that you find in your ABC, doing research and publishing online in your own pages and all that. And I'm talking about internship. So you're finished, you've gone for this particular internship. When you come for the internship, again, it's like you're a wheelbarrow. You have to be pushed for everywhere. If I give you filing, you finish, you sit. I give you ABCD, you finish, you sit. There is no initiative to learn. It's like you did not have any goals to come for that internship, apart from the school saying you must go for internship. For you to graduate, you must go for this particular internship. You must have your own goals for coming for the internship. And what are the goals for internship? The goal is for you to actually come and learn what happens at work. So drive that process. I have seen interns who come and all they do is actually learn how to file and push papers. You photocopy, you scan and file. And you blame the manager that is managing you, but it's not their career. It is your career. So be on the driver's seat. Be on the driver's seat and push that. Be able to say, I want to understand what happens in an accountant's desk, if you're an accountant. Let them tell you this is how we do payments, okay, and what else, I just want to understand what happens, everything, and can we cover maybe in my 3 weeks, in my 3 months here, can we just maybe have a structure that I get to understand how we make payments, how we follow up our money, how we do financial reports, how we do ABCD, your career. If you're in IT, don't just go there and just be sent to actually just go fix laptops, and that's the only thing that you learn, because it will not help you. But it has to be you to drive that particular thing for them to know that you're self-driven. And when they see you asking for work, they give you more. I'll go back again to just spending time in campus. Sometimes you just spend time with your friends, wasting time and all that, going to class and paying exams. University should give you more than just passing exams. University should give you more than that certificate. It's a place to grow in terms of relations and how you relate with people. And talking about that, there are clubs that are not just the clubs that you do with the other students. There are actually other international clubs like ISEC, you can check it online, where people even go for exchange programs even outside the country. And the opportunities are in mass when you do such things. Just belonging to something as serious as the CU, Christian Union, okay, where I went to school, I wasn't part of it. But I know people who belong to such groups and took leadership would express better. They're able to stand in front of people and express and have a conversation, give a speech. Most of us are finishing campus and we cannot even face 3 strangers. So you come for the interview, you can't even face the panel. So take the time in campus to build your life skills, not just a degree. And you only create this by participating in things that require you to do other things, to coordinate people, to organize an event, just those basic, and that's what happens at work. If you become a chair of a club, not just a member does nothing other than attending and sometimes just participating. But as a chair, as a treasurer, as the organizing secretary, there are things that you sharpen without knowing. You may not know that you're building skills, but you're actually building skills. And nobody will give you this. You have to go for it. Nobody will give you this. So just deliberate purpose to grow your skills and in campus, do something that we call also a skills gap audit. Be able to look at what the jobs are looking for before you finish campus and what skills you have, and do that gap. Understand, for me to get a job, other than experience that I'm looking for, what other things do I have? What would make me stand out? We are graduating 100, maybe 400 of us, one university, maybe 3,000 other universities. What will make me stand out? And am I just sitting and waiting for opportunities to come and find me? Or am I going out there and looking for opportunities? And remember, no one will ever come and find you. If you don't go, and Elizabeth talked about that, if you don't go out and knock those doors, nobody will open for you. Nobody will open for you. And that happens for internship, for volunteers, and for jobs. And I'll just emphasize something that Elizabeth said about networking. Learn about events, even these virtual events. There's somebody somewhere who is just watching a movie when you're having this conversation. And they can watch that later, you know? So we are living in a very good time that you can actually attend so many webinars. And trust me, when you attend, don't just attend for the purpose of just sitting there and listening to other things. Go with a notebook. Take notes. Get to understand what are people saying. If I was a student and I sat and listened to Elizabeth and the things that she has said that time, trust me, so much would have changed. I remember I had other competing priorities that I now call useless during that time. I didn't join ISEC. I didn't join very many club that people, you know, writing clubs, things like that. And you learn very many things. So we are living in the area that you can actually learn so much if you choose to learn. And now I'll talk about some of the skills that actually make you stand out. And one of them is presentation and being able to speak. We are spending so much time speaking in Sheng, speaking in the long language, and even when you're writing, even when you're applying for jobs. I've been seeing people applying for jobs and they're using words that a language that I don't know. Remember, those of us that you're sending your jobs to are not millennials like you. So if you write to me thanks and you're putting the X at the end, you know, THA, I think with the X or NX or something like that, that is not a language that I want to understand. You must understand who is the audience or who you're communicating to. Every audience, you cannot speak to a Chinese in Kikuyu. He will not understand you. You must have a reason for communicating, and you must communicate in a language that we will understand. The official languages as it is still remain English and Kiswahili. So if you're going to put English, please just purpose to write proper English. If you don't know me and you're approaching me for whatever purpose, remain professional, you know. Just go like Dear Jane, ABCD, ABCD in a proper language that is professional. Don't assume that you can actually be casual even if I become casual with you. And this I'm just talking about all the people that you get to relate with, because I see it happening every day. Taking things so lightly, and especially the effect of not sharing in how we write and how we talk. You can be fluent in both, you can be very good in sharing, but still purpose to keep your English very good, your Swahili very good, and choose your audience and which language to use, both in written and spoken. Being able to speak with people in front of people, I think that's a skill that really propels you very far. Success belongs to those who are able to talk, those who are able to express themselves. So if you keep looking on Menyeshewa because you have never participated in anything, it works against you. It works against you. Even as an intern, when an intern comes to the office and they're able to actually relate with people because they're used to dealing with the people, it's easy for them. But some will come, akai kwa kona, you give them work, they finish, they go home. So purpose to build your life skills, and more so presentation, including dressing, how we dress. When you're coming for interviews, when you're coming for work, before you understand the dress code, please just be the conventional type of it. Dress the usual way that we are used to dressing. Don't come with the Tata jeans, a top that is half mast, you know. And this is not, I'm not making jokes. These are things that we have actually observed. So remain on the confectional side of it, do things that like we have always done them. Then when you understand that the culture of we allows us to be casual, to be ABCD, now you can flow with it. Because every company will have different perspectives and people always form perceptions about who you are the moment they see you. I think that's it that I want to talk about. Let me just see what else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I think that's just to summarize. If you're in high school, understand that all the subjects are important. You can focus on what you want, but go to the university admission board, understand the clusters and see what you have to focus in. Understand if you want to be an engineer, what must you do? If you want to be ABCD, what must you do? If you want to pursue your passion, don't pursue your passion and ignore other things. You can balance the two. You can pursue what you know is a traditional career as you pursue your passion, just in case this passion of yours turns out to be something that cannot be sustained. You can always choose to do ABCD. 3, build your experience as early as now. Start getting opportunities to do things. And I always give the example of church. If in high school, participate, not just going to church, participate, you know, be a leader there. Choose to be a leader because there are things that you learn. As you join campus and all the free time that you have, purpose to always do things that are actually building your career, build your network. And right now we are living in that you can even go for webinars happening in the New York, in London, wherever. So purpose to also be able to go for events once a week, twice a week, to just get people to able to get exposed and be more knowledgeable than the average person of your age. And then of course mind your language, be able to know how you speak and how you present yourself, and then again how you dress and all that. And then don't sit home waiting for your parents to get you opportunities, waiting for your rich aunt, for your uncle, and claiming the way they are mean. No, they don't have opportunities. And sometimes when they send you, you don't even go and put your weight. You assume because they have come to speak for you can just go sit and things will happen for you. No, sharpen your tools. Have that good CV that is more than just your year of birth and marital status and religion, something that is different which you can do now to get that particular experience before you go for that, and look for those opportunities yourself. Go online, search for internships, search for opportunities, whether advertised or not. List companies that you wish to work for and visit them. Just send even an info email, send the application, and see how to network. Thank you very much. I think that's all I had for today. Back to Simon and Esther.
Thank you so much, Simon, for your time. I'm happy to be in this session. Thank you so much to Reese and Jane for your inspiring talks and the guidance that you've given. I actually feel that you probably have shared almost 60% or 70% of what I had, because I could clearly relate with your stories. It's amazing. Just before maybe I start introducing myself, I really want to just grasp three things that I've actually learned from this session, maybe from the previous two representatives. One is you need to start building your experience now. You need to start building your profile now. Whether you're in high school, whether you are past high school, whether you are already in college or you're still in college, all that matters. And I think examples have been given of how you can even take roles within school or internships to be able to build your career or your future. Number two, I come from a technology perspective. So we have these two equipment in IT. One, we talk of it as a passive equipment, and another one as an active equipment. Okay, a passive equipment we say has no life. It just is there. It's probably just a cable. Okay, but then when you talk of an active equipment, if you look at it, it's maybe even have a signal that shows inafanya kazi ama inawaka. Okay, it is active. So as you build your experience, as you look for opportunities, don't be passive. Don't wait for things to just come your way. Be active, be proactive, go out and look for things. And finally, I've heard people asking about the payments and etc, and about taking not well-paying jobs, etc. And there is a quote that I usually refer to anytime either I meet with people who have been interned in an organization or people who are pursuing a career or starting to pursue a career. There's a saying that says, in life you are paid by two cents: cash and experience. Take experience and cash will follow you. It is as simple as that. So many of us want to have those best paying jobs, where you even have a car in your first, place in your first job, etc. Yet you don't have experience. Ideally, what I will tell you is take experience and cash will follow you. Briefly, that is all about I've learned, and I want to encourage you. My name is Mwai Moria. I'm a technologist. I come from an IT perspective. I would say I'm middle-aged. I'm 34. Born and brought up in my rural area, somewhere in mountain region in Moranga. Attended a primary school in a village public primary school, day school. Proceeded to high school. One of the high schools today, Moranga High School, is a national school today. After that, did some courses in college, to be specific, as I was waiting to join campus. I think nowadays it's a bit easy. You complete high school, and I think in less than 6 months or 1 year, you're able to join college. Initially, it would take 2 years. So between that period, I took some courses. By then they looked so serious. We would call it a certificate in IT, but nowadays it's what you call computer packages. And then proceeded to the University of Nairobi, where I studied, guess what? A Bachelor of Arts. I'm a sociologist by training. But then here I am. I work in an IT company. I'm the founder and the CEO of an IT company called Empire Microsystems. I've been in operation for 10 years plus. I briefly want to talk about my journey. I have I remember when Riz was starting her session, she showed a video about Jack Ma, and I don't know whether it's a mere coincidence, but I did love Jack Ma. Jack Ma has a program for all, we call them e-founders, all founders, yeah, entrepreneurs in IT companies, for IT companies in Africa. It's called the Jack Ma e-founders program. It's held in China. I'm glad to have been one of the participants. I attended last year, and we still have ongoing sessions that I was actually even attending today morning. So, and how I love Jack Ma is he shares his story, and then you can deduct from what you'd want to deduct from there. Jack Ma as a person has made so many mistakes. Briefly about his company. He started an IT company in 1997. In 1997, there was no even internet. I remember that's how he shares his story. There was no even internet. So, and here is somebody who wants to start a company that purely is based on internet, and and how he has over time built his business. 20 years later, it's amongst the best doing in the world. He's amongst the top 10 billionaires or top rich people in the world, and amazingly done so many other important things. So I'll briefly share my story and what it takes to be in IT, and then probably I'll maybe win or build one of the persons into IT. So as I mentioned, after high school, I did for some computer packages. And because the 2 years was too long, I took a job. I secured an internship as a cyber attendant, as a computer lab teacher, come computer packages trainer in one of the government colleges in town, in Nairobi. After that, it was only for 3 months. I secured a job as a cyber attendant, which ended maybe also in like 3 or 6 months. And that was it. Because I couldn't secure another job, by then I had to hustle doing some basic computer jobs, setting of maybe computers. There was a stage of setting the CDs and etc. before flash disk and YouTube came, and etc. started doing some basic softwares, and that is where at some point after I joined campus, that is for the 4-year program where I did my arts degree. As I said, I'm trained to be sociologist. And immediately after university, by God luck, I was able to start Empire Microsystems, which is an IT company today. In school, I really wanted to be an auditor. I loved working with, I'm not a sciences person. I really loved working with, I would say mathematics, some bit of commerce or business studies. And then after that, maybe things like history also. So I was poor in sciences. I never took physics. I failed in chemistry. I fairly scored well in biology. But that's why I never wanted to probably pursue, a career in a science or in a technology. But by God mercy, or I don't know how I can explain it, here I am today, in an IT environment, working on a day-to-day on an IT, and even having not done IT in campus. So one of the challenges that you'd encounter then, or even you'd encounter in life, if I may say so that maybe I can inspire somebody, is that I was never able to pursue to get even an internship. I didn't have a connection. I didn't know anybody. And for example, my first internship, I just sent a CV. There was no email response. And I thought, why don't I take my CV to the school, physically take my CV to the school or to the college that I was interned to. And by good luck, I think they found me to be so much courageous because I said I've been sending CVs here. I haven't been able to get an internship or even a response. And I just thought that I should be able to bring this physically. And that's why I was enrolled, into an internship in a computer lab just to help students work on it. Number two, I also faced quite a big setback because I really didn't want to do the course that I picked, the course that I was given by job in campus was never my choice. So what happened is that I got into art, yet I wanted to be either in BCom, or do those finance and auditing things and etc. It was a very hard thing to be convinced that ideally I will have a successful career, because here you are, you've been given a course that, you know, that you don't like, but then you have no options. This government, you probably don't have so much options. But then, as future would have it, things changed, and I ended up in IT. So, what is IT? I had Simon introducing and saying the future of work, but I would say IT is no longer the future, especially now with COVID. IT is now, technology is now. We are living technology today. For example, look at it. Whenever you are nowadays paying, even in a supermarket, you'll find that people want to pay through M-Pesa. People no longer want to pay through cash. Nowadays, the government is encouraging people, even in matatus, to even pay via M-Pesa. Look at what we are doing now. We are on a meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. It's an online meeting. So many of these meetings are going online. And even studies, like I'm sure people nowadays, they are no longer going to class. You just log into your Zoom or any other tool and you're able to start your classes. Look at the working environment now. You'd find so many people working from home. You don't have to physically wake up every day and go to an office space. You just wake up next to your bed or in your sitting area or wherever you are, you start working from there. Look at the government. Look at some tools we call e-citizen. You want to apply for a driving license, you want to apply for a birth certificate and anything else, it is done online, it is e-citizen. I want to maybe even relate a case of Reese, who was mentioning about how she has been able to get interactions through online. And you'll find that so many businesses are no longer doing the physical billboards advertising. There's what we call social media marketing. So marketing and advertising is all social media, is all technology, by the use of internet and other tools. So ideally, when we talk of IT or when we talk of technology, it's no longer the future. Actually, the technology is now. And the beauty is IT is the center of everything. The beauty of working in ICT, for example, in organizations or anywhere else, you probably have to work with all departments. You probably have to work with everybody. The sales team will come to you because they need either presentations or they need some things to be done for them. Accounting will have to use maybe an accounting software or anything. HR, maybe somebody like Jen will tell you nowadays even recruitment is all online. You no longer have to send CVs in terms of paper forms. They'll just give you a website, you create your profile, you apply for a job, everything is done, and everything else. So there are those people who are inspiring or aspiring to take ICT. One, I will tell you that you need to do a small amount of almost everything, because at one point you'd have to relate with an accounting, so you probably need to know some basics of maths. You probably have to interact with sales, as I mentioned, and marketing, so you have maybe to apply your business studies and etc and etc. So I want to encourage somebody maybe who is trying or planning to pursue a case in IT. I wouldn't say that you need to be maybe skewed to one area. You probably need your basics in terms of maybe knowing well of your mathematics and other languages, but honestly, you have to be good at knowing almost everything. And then this is the other thing about IT. If you found IT, let me give like a case of what is currently happening. With the COVID, there came the issue of the COVID certificate or your certificate that says, whenever you want to travel by air or by whatever, you have to have a certificate. The beauty of what the government has done now is that, I think the certificates are now online. I think that came in last week or early this week. Look at it this way. There was no previously that a problem has arose and it needs to be solved. Okay. So one thing or one rules of being in IT is that you have to probably live or you arrive as problem solver. Nothing, you probably don't have to read a script from anybody. Initially, there were no centralized way of having those kind of travel certificates or anything. A problem comes and it needs to be solved. So ideally, that is what you have to live in when you are in accounting. And that is probably, if you're planning to pursue a course in IT, that is one of the things that you really have to make your mind so open about, and etc. The other thing is that whenever you look at probably a daily routine of somebody in ICT or somebody working in terms of IT, uh, you know, what skills or do you need in terms of being able to handle your job so well? You probably one need to be, I think, you probably have to, critically think. You have to know well how to express yourself. You have to do communication, because ideally what you do is you work with teams who don't understand technology. Okay, you probably walk into a sales office or to an HR office. They need a solution on how to do recruitment by online, or how to handle a meeting online. They don't understand anything about IT. They don't understand anything about technology, and you have to communicate with them and agree on what would be the best way forward. So that is one of the things that is one of the skills that you probably need, if you want to work as IT. Number two is that you just have to be online. If I probably explain my my day-to-day thing, by probably 6 a.m. you'll find me reading emails. By as late as 11 p.m. in midnight, you'll find maybe me answering some emails, or having to make comments, because even the way the world has moved. For example, if you're able to work in some of these big organizations, for example, let me say, an organization like EABL, where it operates in different regions, it operates in different countries. Here you are the IT support person. When it is 1 p.m. in Kenya, it's probably 7 a.m. in another country. It's probably late into the midnight into the other country. So you really have to be almost in touch with your emails, or with your technology, or with your tools, and etc. And that is how I would say, if for example you want to pursue a career in IT, it's you have to be there. And then number two is you have to really be a fast thinker, because as I earlier mentioned, you are given problems, you are expected to solve them. You are not a genius, but then you have to solve them. People want solutions, they don't want explanations. And if you hear of people in IT, what they talk about is that, as an IT person, you are a solutions person. That is what we say. And when you come to solutions, they don't exist on the shelf, or there is nowhere you can always refer to them. You have to look for them, you have to pursue them, and everything. Uh, Ideally, as I mentioned, you also have to almost relate with all other departments or other businesses, and etc. and etc. Uh, I but the beauty about being IT, or the beauty about being IT, is that I would love the word that people say, that you operate on what we call a free mode. I heard maybe Jane mentioning about the dress code that you have to be in, and etc. But if anybody of you knows the name of the Facebook founder, and you search for him on Google, you'll find that he's in a t-shirt, he's in a round neck t-shirt, and so many other cases of maybe the successful people in IT. You operate on a free mode. I've attended a corporate meeting where the IT director was actually wearing some or a kinyasa, or what we call a short, and he had some dreadlocks and a t-shirt. That is the best thing about being IT. And but the worst is that 10% you run it in school, and 90% is self-effort. You have to love experimenting, you have to know how to run, you have to probably make Google your friend, you have to keep referring to other companies, or other institutions, either online or other things, on what they are doing, and you take that runnings into how you can be able to use it as yourself internally, without having to probably have an answer already written somewhere by somebody else. So that is briefly about IT, and what it works, and so many other things I like about IT from where I work. And the only thing I don't like about being in IT is that sometimes you really have to do so many reports and so many presentations in a technical language, in a very layman language, but explaining very technical things. But this is what makes life to be to be interesting. Otherwise, it should just be about IT and technology and computers and everything else. There was something I needed to maybe clarify about maybe what is the next step about IT or maybe my own goals. I would say beginning now and into the future, you probably see more of IT, you see more of technology, you'll see more of automation. I think even in schools, in some as early as kindergarten schools, in some places, as soon as children join kindergarten, they will probably never maybe be attending physical schools. They will probably be option of online schools. Probably curriculums will change. Either you take just the normal way there is KCSE and IGSE, there will probably be a physical class and an online class. The future of work, if you look at everybody, if you look at some of the big companies like in the world, like Oracle, like Tesla, I think like Microsoft, they have said they have adopted working from home as their internal policy. So anytime probably you are even hired in a company, you probably attend the interview online, you be recruited online, and you start working online. So you probably work in a company and you've never maybe physically visited their offices, or you don't even know where they are from, which exists from today. You never have to have a desk for you to be employed in a work environment. And these applies all across. I think we have seen deliberate efforts in the use of not using cash and people using maybe mobile money or cards, and all across so many things that have changed because of technology. And even what you're even doing now, meetings, they are no longer or even events or even weddings. Nowadays, if you attend even a burial in the rural village, you'll find that they most likely share what we call a YouTube channel, where you can also follow the proceedings of either the wedding or the burial via YouTube. So the next step or the future of IT is that so many of things, so many of world will move into IT, will move into technology, and you can only be, at the best advantage. The beauty is, or the advantage is, whether you are in, career A, whether you are a salesperson, whether you are HR person, whether you are in whatever, career that you choose, you have to actually have IT skills within yourself. And hopefully, maybe if God grants us the wisdom, one of the things that we would want to do, like for example, as a Tempire, is to build what we call a mentoring program for founders of businesses, not only maybe in IT, but in all other areas, but maybe to even encourage them on and mentor them into the technology space and even to the entrepreneurship space. This is more like what Jack Ma has done. He has really impacted so many people in the world. I'm a beneficiary of that, and I can all say that the story works. And finally, maybe what I can say is I'll share my small story. I was featured this week by the Business Daily. I'll share it on the on the chat, and you can be able to read about the possibilities of believing in yourself. Having to not maybe look at the disadvantages that comes into your life, but maybe even looking at what you can be able to build. Because as I've shared my story, I was never I'm not an IT graduate. I was never given the course that I wanted to be. I didn't have anybody to read from. I came into the IT space when it was so blank. There was nothing. Maybe that is when even the likes of Safaricom were coming up. But then here we are, 10 years to date, we are able to say there is something we have contributed into this sector. So my encouragement is that take your role, just run what you are doing. Just run what you're doing, be open, be flexible, and again, don't avoid technology. Be in technology at whatever level or space that you'd be able to find it. And that's my best wishes and my small presentation. Thank you.